You're listening to LVB Podcast Show with your friend, advocate, and host, Alvaro.
Hi and welcome to LVB Show. My name is Alvaro and I'm very happy to be with you tonight. Before I introduce our guest, I want to say thank you so much for people listening from the United States, from Canada, from Latin America, from Europe. We have also listeners in Africa. We have listeners in Australia, in so many places in this planet. So it's a pleasure to have you on for everybody listening. Tonight, we have someone that is going to talk to us about technology for people who are visually impaired or totally blind. And well, with nothing else to say, thank you, Paul, for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure, Paul. And can you tell us a little bit about you and your company, the company you work for?
Okay, well, I'm Paul Colgan, and I'm the Director of Business Development and Corporate Strategy for Boni, B-O-N-I Incorporated, and I run the U.S. division of a Turkish-American company. Now, Boni got its start in Istanbul, Turkey, at Istanbul Technological University as a project to help the blind users on smartphones to navigate indoor space. And it started about 7 years ago, and we've grown significantly, having a number of installations in Istanbul and Turkey, in Europe, and we're just now growing here in the United States. But we do have an installation in Latin America, in Lima, Peru, at the airport. And what LoudSteps is an accessible application that right now can run on both iOS, Apple phones, and Android phones. And it has a user interface that makes it easy for blind and low vision individuals to get information about the space around them, give them information about where they, what to orient themselves, to pick a destination, and then get a step-by-step navigation. And this is all done by voiceover from the phone.
Okay, so this is very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit? Okay, definitely. I'm listening to myself here. Do you listen to me twice?
Well, let me tell you some more about it. Well, LoudSteps is a free application that you can download from an Apple Store or from Google, and but it only works in facilities or venues, locations where they've installed the service. Now, we use both Bluetooth low energy beacons and Wi-Fi to do the positioning for our users. I think I mentioned that we're in Lima Airport. We're also in 2 airports in Turkey, and we're in a number of shopping malls, universities, government buildings in Turkey, and we're slowly getting into installations in Europe and here in the United States. And we have, for example, some demonstration installations here in the U.S. I'm based in Chicago, and we have a demonstration installation at the Chicago Lighthouse for the blind, and one at O'Hare International Airport, where people can test it out and see how it works.
Okay, so let me, for our listeners, I'm sorry that the microphone was giving me some echo, so I had to put it down and use it in other ways. Okay, so getting deep into that, how it works, Paul. The application is downloaded on your iPhone or Android device. You open it up, and then how do you work with it?
Well, it has an interface that for sighted people, it's a high contrast, easy to read interface. So therefore, people with limited vision can see and utilize the interface, but it also allows especially on the iOS Apple phones, which is the phone of choice of many visually impaired people in the U.S. and in other countries, using swipes and taps, they can quickly navigate the app, and we can, as I said, you can locate anything in the facility or venue where we're located. If you're in an airport, we can help you find your gate. We can help you find a restaurant. We can help you find the toilets. We can help you find the exit. I mean, there's many different things we can do, and we do it so we want to provide some independence to the users so that they don't have to be escorted. They can just simply use their phone, listen to the voiceover, and get information about what's around them. Because think about it, as a blind person walking through an airport, unless you have you're familiar with the airport, or you just simply smell the food, it's hard to tell whether you buy a coffee place, a Starbucks here in the U.S., or a place to get something to eat in the airport. But now just simply using your phone and turning that from the right to the left as you walk down a corridor, it can tell you what the shopping is next to you, what the food available is, if anything that's there in the airport. All can be identified just simply by using your phone and pointing in a variety of different directions. But we also have a listing of places, and so if you want to find a Starbucks for your coffee here, you just simply punch in Starbucks and it'll direct you to the nearest one and help you. And in the airport, the accuracy, we can get you close enough that you can use your O&M skills to finish that last little extra meter or so. But in many cases, we can get you, in some cases, I should say, we can get you to within a meter of where you're going, or 2 or 3 meters, so you can find your way for that last little bit. But we're always improving the accuracy because, frankly, we'd like to be able to get to the point where we're always in that sub-meter accuracy to help you, as a blind or low vision user, get to your destination.
Now, that is absolutely fantastic, Paul. I want to see if I understand correctly. I open the app. I am at, let's say, Newark Airport, for instance, in New York, and I want to navigate the airport to get to a bathroom, let's say. So do I find an interactive map, or do I find a listing of the floor I am at? How it works that way?
Yeah, it is a listing. We use the listing because you on an interactive map, if you're not sighted, that's pretty hard for you to interact with. And so instead, we can have listings of destinations. You scroll through that, you choose one, and the idea here is we want to give you directions to the nearest one to you, especially a bathroom. So you would select men's or women's, and it would give you directions. It would, for example, if you get the step-by-step, you might be faced in one direction. It'll tell you to turn around, and 20 or 30 meters to your 6 o'clock is where the bathroom is located. Then as you go down the corridor, it then will tell you when you reach that destination that within close by, it'll tell you whether it's on the left or the right, and then help walk you to the entrance. I apologize, we can't walk you totally into the bathroom, but we can get you to the entrance.
That's pretty good. And tell us, Paul, in which airports in the U.S. is available?
Yeah, so it's not fully available in many airports in the U.S. at this point. We have a demonstration one at O'Hare in Chicago and one at Minneapolis-St. Paul. We are in the process of talking to other airports to install the app there. In Europe, we're in Istanbul Airport. Actually, the new Istanbul Airport is launching in November next month. And we're already at Antalya Airport in southern Turkey, and as I mentioned, at the Lima, Peru airport.
Paul, how do you pick the airports?
Well, they kind of pick us. We try to find airports that are interested in providing this type of navigation for their passengers. And I'm active in groups here in the U.S. where the federal FAA is talking to airports and encouraging them to be more inclusive of people with visual disabilities. And so airports now are actively looking and talking about adding this technology. And one of the advantages that we bring to airports is we can use the radio signals from Wi-Fi access points to do the location. Because what happens in your phone is we use the sensors in the phone to just trilaterate is the term. It's a little higher up than from triangulate, but we use these multiple signals to be able to know exactly what floor you're on in a building and your position within the building. And then we also then have the algorithms and information that's in the app then to help direct you to your location. Some people use beacons, the low energy BLE, Bluetooth beacons, but we've been trying to use as often as we can Wi-Fi. And the benefit of that is that every airport has numerous access points, Wi-Fi access points. As a result, the number of signals, the density, as we call it, of signals, is significant enough to make it easy for us to locate you. And that's where that accuracy comes in. The more signals we have to triangulate or trilaterate, I can't say the word very well, the signals, then it's easier for us to locate you accurately and give you accurate description of our path. And anyone who's used GPS outdoors would know how to do this indoors because, in a sense, the experience is the same. We're telling you to turn right, go 20 meters, turn right, go 30 meters, turn left to get to your destination, just as you might do that outdoors. But indoors, the accuracy is much better. Is much, like I say, occasionally we can get that 1 meter accuracy, and as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to do that all the time, and so we're getting better all the time at doing that.
Now, Paul, if someone from any airport would like to have your application working, how much is going to cost? Can you discuss that with me?
Well, I can give you a general idea.
Okay.
It really depends upon the size of the airport and how much of the floor plan needs to be navigated. Because sometimes the terminals have a lot of internal space that we don't map, so we're only mapping the public part.
Right.
It can vary. It's tens of thousands of dollars, but I can't tell you exactly what the numbers would be without talking about the airport. The larger airports, depending upon one of it is installation costs. If we have to put in beacons, the installation cost goes higher. If we can only use, if we're able to use Wi-Fi only, then the installation cost is less. But and one of the other good things about our application is that although we design first to serve the needs of the blind and visually impaired, we also make sure that what we design can be used by anyone. So we're very careful to say this is an app for everybody with special features for the visually impaired. So and in airports now they're really looking to do more of this wayfinding in the airport. And so we help them solve more than just one problem. It's not just helping the accessibility for blind and visually impaired. It also helps passengers who go in any airport, because if you fly often and you go to airports you're unfamiliar with, it's hard to find where you want to go because you're just unfamiliar. And you're wandering down the corridors trying to figure out where am I going. And using our app, we can clearly tell you that if you're at gate A6 and you need to go to gate B7, we can tell you it's 1,000 feet or 300 meters away, and we can help direct you to it. And and especially if you're trying to catch a flight, it's important to know how to find your way.
Now, Paul, I have a question related to the technology. You say it works with Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Does that mean that you shouldn't use 4G or 5G?
So we are looking at that technology right now.
Okay.
So we are, as I said, we are right now, our phones in our application are calibrated to use the Bluetooth beacons or Wi-Fi. But as we're seeing the development of 5G, and there's some new technology coming out that enhances the cellular signal inside buildings, we have not gotten to that point where we're using that yet, but that's something our engineers are looking at. We're always trying to stay a step ahead because technologies change, and if we're not changing with the times, we'll get left behind.
Now, what you mentioned about this improvement in cell phone reception, is this available in smartphones today or is coming to it?
Well, it depends on your phone, and it depends upon the service that's provided. 5G is not, it's in some communities, not in all communities. And I think you have to have a 5G enabled phone. I have not tried it yet, but
Okay.
You have to have phones that can receive that. But some of this indoor augmentation or help in extending the cell phone signals, that's somewhat new technology too. So it's something that we're experimenting with and learning more about.
Now, it comes to me as something very interesting, the fact that a airport in Latin America already has this technology, meaning it may not be so expensive for Latin American cities, maybe, right?
That's right. Yes. And so we were trying to get into the Lima airport ahead of the Pan Am Games this year. And so we were able to do that. So the idea here is that other airports, because we'd like to be in every airport in the world.
Right.
And so that you as a user don't have to download 2 or 3 or 4 or applications or a separate application for every airport you go to, but you've got one application. And that's our goal, is to be in as many airports as possible so that Loud Steps can work wherever you are.
Well, I hope you can stay after the interview, because I would like to know how could I maybe put you in touch with the Colombian airport here in Bogota. Maybe make a connection there, because
I'd appreciate that.
you know why, Paul? Because the American Cup of Soccer is coming to Colombia in July next year.
Ah.
And so people from all Latin America are going to come, and we're going to be organizing the final of that American Cup. So Argentina is coming, Brazil, and it would be beautiful for people with disabilities and everybody else to have an airport in Colombia, hopefully the one in Bogota, maybe the one in Medellin, I don't know, to be able to have that technology by then. I don't know, but you have to try. So I'm just saying. So we have to talk afterwards.
Well, I want to mention something else about airports, and that is we've been working with Airbus, the European aircraft manufacturing company,
right,
to do an indoor or in the aircraft navigation as well. So not only can we walk you through the airport, but in the Airbus planes that we've installed this app, you can literally find your seat using our app. And in the airplane, while you're in the air, if you need to get up and use the bathroom, it would help tell you that the bathroom is, again, 10, 20 meters in front of you or 10, 20 behind you, and help you navigate that so that you independently can get your way in and out around the airport or aircraft to find your way when you need it. That way you don't have to rely solely on an escort or assistance from somebody else, but you would have the confidence and independence to do it yourself.
That is fantastic, Paul.
And that's something that's new, and we just recently completed working with Airbus on that, and we're in the process of talking to airlines, mostly the international airlines at this point, but we would welcome the opportunity to talk to any regional airlines as well in Latin or South America, if they were interested in this service as well. And we have to come in and we have to map the airplane. We've got to know exactly where the seats are. Planes configurations change, so part of it is making sure that we know exactly what aircraft you're in. The aircraft has to be equipped with Wi-Fi, and there's just a number of things we have to do with the aircraft in order to make it possible. But our goal is to be able to take you from your home to transit, to a taxi, to Lyft or Uber, to whatever rideshare you might have, to get to the airport, and then walk you through the airport and allow you to stop and shop just like everybody else, get to your gate, and then when it's time to board the airplane, to assist you to board the airplane and take you directly to your seat. So we want to be able to go from your couch at home to your seat in the airplane. It's a seamless journey with all the information you need to navigate that journey.
Wow, it's been much more powerful even than I thought, this interview, to be honest with you, Paul.
Well, thank you for having me again.
It's very
and I also
exciting.
want to mention, since I'm on that topic, that we're working now with a couple transit agencies in the U.S. Let's say we've responded to an RFP that they put out, a tender, to create navigation within the municipal transit, both underground subway trains and above ground buses, to help people. We want to help people find the bus stops. We want to help them find the train stations, get through the train stations, navigate the train stations, and get to the platform where they need to be to get on a train. So we're working on that technology as well at this point.
In which cities?
Well, we responded to two cities, one in Washington, D.C., and one in the Seattle, Washington area. But these are other people are competing for the same idea. It's not just us, but these are two transit systems that are looking at how to heighten the ability of blind and low vision people to utilize their services.
That is fantastic. And do you plan or are you working in hotels?
We do. We do have an installation at a hotel in Chicago. And it is, again, we can get you to the door of your room. We can walk you to the elevator, take you to the floor you need to go to, get you off the elevator, walk you down the corridor to the door of your room in that hotel.
Really?
Yes.
Is it hard to expand to other hotels?
No. With hotels, it's because hotels have a higher standard of Wi-Fi. Now that's almost you must as a hotel have good Wi-Fi, and in the better hotels they have really high density of Wi-Fi to make sure that people get the service and the speed of Wi-Fi they want. It's very easy. Now the difficult thing with hotels is mapping them, and this is the issue that we come down to every time, is we have to create floor maps of any facility and venue we go to, and sometimes getting through that mapping process can be challenging. That's why airports are attractive right now, not only because the large volume of people going through an airport, but the fact that every airport is mapped one way or another by some of the biggest mapping services. So, because we have to have a very accurate map, whether it be on Apple Maps, Google Maps, OpenStreetMaps, all the different services that are out there. Here, HERE has maps. we want to be able to access those maps because we have to overlay our information on these maps. Because what we do is we go into a facility, we do a digital mapping. And by that, we go through every area, every public area, and using our app program, a special program, we then have to verify all the locations in the map so that they can be overlaid the original map, and that way our application then knows these points of interest to direct you to them. And so it's kind of a digital process we have to go through. We call it fingerprinting to get a digital fingerprint of all the signals of where you're at. But that is part of the installation process. And the key thing is we have to have those maps. But as I said, that's why airports are popular, because most airports are well mapped, and it's easier for us to overlay our information on those maps. Small buildings, hotels, government buildings, we have to go through a process to get those maps put into the cloud so that we can access them and provide our service.
How about concert venues, university areas, that kind of thing, maybe parks?
Yeah, I've talked to some universities here in the U.S., and I know that our team in Istanbul, Turkey, has installed an app there that has both indoor and outdoor features in Istanbul. And I'm talking to a university here in the U.S. about doing the same. I'm talking to museums and libraries about doing the same thing. But it's new. They have to commit the time and money to it, and so it's a process. And one of the things that keeps coming up is well, how many blind people are going to be able to use this? And I keep reminding them that we have all these services and accommodations we've made for the physically disabled. We now need to be very aware of what needs to be done for people who have visual impairments, and what can we do to help them. And they might be surprised at the number of people who will want to utilize this service if it's available.
Yeah. I mean, if it is accessible for us, for our listeners, we are millions of people in this planet, so they are missing on this new niche, you could say,
Yes.
And we are customers too, and so, as you very well say, Paul, it is for the best of everybody. This is not only for us, but it's for everybody. And not only that, but the older community, they also are losing their sight, many of them. And they just to be able to go to museums and have a great time and take a plane and be independent doing so. So it's many more people than people believe so,
Yes. There's just, I don't have the exact number in my head right now, but if you look at, depend upon who you're talking to, anywhere from 5 to 10% of the population have significant visual impairments if they're not blind. And as you said, a lot of them are older people. My mother had macular degeneration, which caused her to have that narrowing of sight that comes from macular degeneration. And so there's a lot of things that could be very beneficial to a lot of people.
Now, Paul, where do you see this technology going in 2, 3, 5 years? What is your ambition as a company?
Well, one of my ambitions from personally and for the company is the ability to have so you put your phone in your pocket, and because if you have a dog or you walk the cane, having a phone in your hand, it fills your available hands. If we can put your phone in your pocket and have it work well and give you the same type of service, that's where I'd like to be, so that it's easy for everyone to use. And we are talking with one company in particular. I can't name them, unfortunately, because of confidentiality. But we are going to talk with one company where they have a device where our phone can communicate with this wearable device so that we can get the right signals, and people can put their phone in their pocket and get all the same service that they would have otherwise holding the phone in front of them. And that to me would be a huge leap forward, because then it frees your hands to, as I said, if you've got a seeing eye dog, or if you use your cane, you need to have your hands free for that purpose. And so I'd like to reach a point where it is a very easy to use application, and frankly, I'd love to have every property mapped where you can walk into anything, any public university or any public building, a government building, or shopping mall, you name it, where you can go in and you could find, in a sense, hear but see everything around you, so you can make choices as any other sighted person could be, to go shopping or go visit something or go look around. And that is our goal, to make it very easy to do all that.
Even hospitals, right?
Yes. I mean, we have not installed in a hospital yet, but that's some place that I think would be a perfect installation too, because the hospitals up here, they keep adding to them. They put a new wing on, and they put a new addition on, or put something, and they're hard to find your way through them. Even for a sighted person like me, it's hard to find. And so they are the ideal candidates for what we want to do, because we can take all those little nuances of funny turns and corners and that, and we can put that into our app and explain them to say, here, turn to your 2 o'clock. For if you're at an angle, or if you got a sharp right, your 3 o'clock to your right, so that you can understand very quickly where to go. And like I say, if we can get that 1 meter accuracy, we can walk you right to a room, or a lab, or where a doctor's office could be. We'd like to be able to do that.
Now, this new talk that you're having with this company about this device and everything, this may be finalized in 1, 2, 3 years, something like that, maybe?
No, it could be sooner. It's just a question of getting them to work together. And if you know technology, sometimes one technology doesn't always hand off or communicate well with another. And so it's a question of learning how to get them to talk to each other, and digitally, and once we do that, then I think we can leapfrog that, go to the next level.
Okay, very nice. And finally, Paul, if someone wants more information about your services, wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, first is email, and that would be paul@boni.me, and that is Paul, Paul, at Boni, BONI.me would be the best way to reach me, by email.
Perfect. Well, Paul, it's been fascinating. I'm eager to have that everywhere, especially in Colombia. And when I fly to the U.S., I always go to New York. I would love to have that in New York installed.
So we'd like to get into the John F. Kennedy and Airport, JFK. Absolutely. And I want to mention before you go, we are starting a project in New York City here soon, where we're going to help people to cross the street. So when you're at a busy intersection in a city, there may be these special systems where you can push a button and get sounds to let you know when the lights change, and we're going to use our technology to create a special app for New York City, where we're going to take a busy intersection, and you come to that intersection using our app. We'll tell you the direction of traffic. We'll tell you what the geometry of the intersection is. Is it one-way traffic? Is it two-way traffic? Is there a bus lane? Is there a bike lane? Different things that you need to know in order to cross the street. And then knowing what corner you're standing on and what direction you want to go across the street, we will then give you information on when the light changes, and then give you a countdown on the time it takes to go across the street. And the idea is to help you locate the crosswalk and know when the light changes. And I realize most blind people are very adept at hearing and listening and in knowing what's going on around them. But frankly, we can give you a little higher level of information so that you can quickly recognize what you're dealing with in an intersection and make choices accordingly in order when to cross the street and be able to cross the street safely. And we're going to be testing our app and equipment this winter in New York City. And if all goes well, there's a potential down the road of having that in New York City. And we'll be on the island of Manhattan to start with, the intersections there in Manhattan. But our goal or our hope is that if it works well, we can help them provide that anywhere in the city that they want it.
Okay, wait a second. This is very important, Paul. You you really had a gym here at the end, huh? Yeah, because this is very, very important. Let me ask you a follow-up. How does that work, Paul? I mean, how do you connect your technology with the lights of? I don't understand. How do you do that to be accurate?
Yeah, so what we do is we will install devices on each of the four corners. And
Okay.
one of the devices will be communicating with the traffic signals to know which one changes and give you the countdown. So that
Wow.
information will be communicated to your phone and
Wow.
then in the app. In a sense, this is all digital information that's coming to the app. But then the app then will be able to verbalize or make it audio the information you need. And so because GPS outdoors is not that accurate, and when you get inside of a city, it doesn't
Right.
work as well because of the
Yep.
buildings.
Yep.
So the idea is by having these beacons, they're specialized beacons, they're going to be using a Bluetooth technology, but how they're being put together is made by our company. We'll be able to hopefully give you very accurate information. Again, we want to keep you in that crosswalk. So again, that 1 meter accuracy, that's
Right.
important for us to try to achieve, to keep
Right.
you in the place that we're, safe place in the intersection. And but also just give you as much information as we can provide. We can't walk you across the street, but we can give you the information you need to be able to confidently walk across when the signals change.
That is incredible, Paul.
Yeah, we're
I
excited
am.
about that.
Yeah, you're excited. I'm excited, and this podcast is listened by many of people in New York City with a visual impairment. I'll make sure they listen to this because
Good.
most of, I'm sure they don't know. I'm
No,
sure
this
they
is
don't.
yeah, it is it's a test going on at one intersection, and we're not announcing publicly where the intersection is, so that
Yeah.
we have to test it. We
Yeah.
can't release it. We can't release it until we know for
Sure.
sure everything works exactly the way we want it to. As confident as we may be on it, you still have to go to the field. You still have to test it. You still have to make sure it does what it needs to do. And one of the things we'll probably find out is as we have testers use it, they're going to tell us, well, we want this information or we don't want that information. They're going to tell us what
Right.
works well for them. And our job will be then to adjust the application to provide the information in the fashion and form or format that they want.
And I have to add something. If it ends up also working in the subways, that's gonna help also so many people as well. And another thing I would like to mention is, well, I wanted to ask you about the subways. You say you are also going into that, um, the subways. What is the most difficult part of working in subway stations?
In subway stations is getting the placing the beacons because Wi-Fi is not always as strong as you'd like to be in
Oh,
subway stations, and
uh-huh.
so we would have to place the beacons. And so there's an issue there: where to place the beacons, how to make sure the batteries are long-lived in the and the beacons. Make sure that you can maintain the beacons, because if a beacon's missing, then that we may not be exactly accurate where that missing beacon is gone now. So there's a number of things have to do with maintenance that take time and effort, but with a good program like we feel we have, we can be on top of those changes and make the replacement or the battery replacement, the replacement of the beacons quickly. But subways also have the challenge of if you've got stairs or if you have escalators, we need to be able to accurately tell you what you're encountering. Are you coming upon an escalator? Is there an elevator that you can use? Is there steps that you can use? So again, we go back to that mapping process I talked to you about. That's right. Where in the front end, we have to do our work and do our work well to make sure that the information we provide you is very accurate and can inform you what you're going to deal with, because you want to know if there's an escalator and you want to use that escalator. We can tell you if it's an up or down escalator, things like that, so that we can position you to be at the escalator. You're still going to have to use your O&M skills right. to get on an escalator. I mean, but the idea is we can place you in front of that escalator. Same thing for stairs. We can tell you where the stairs are and get you there. And that's important in a subway station because it's not always obvious, and you need a little extra information to do that. And then obviously getting on and off the train is a challenge. Most people, blind persons who have used transit and are familiar with kind of finding the door on the train. But one of the things that we're going to be testing in these RFPs, if we get awarded one, is how can you put additional information like a beacon or some type of digital signal on the door of the train to help you locate the nearest door. So, I mean, these are things that all have to all be worked out. They're not there yet, but they're coming. Everything takes money and time.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And and finally, it's just because you have so much information. When you talk about the transit signals and everything, I recommend thinking about, and I know you'll be testing with people, but I recommend thinking about people who are deaf blind. And my recommendation is about if you could be able to have this countdown in voice, right? So people can hear it like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but also have it vibrate. So people who are deafblind are able to understand those signs. That would be beautiful for them, you know?
Yeah, we have some of that capability now, but it's just, we can have that haptic shake or that in the phone. Mm-hmm. The issue for us is how do you communicate enough information and do it in a way that's useful to the user? And that's something we have to work on, but it's something we'd like to achieve. Clearly, the next group that we want to help are the hearing impaired, and that would be, if they can't see, deaf and blind, if they can't see and they can't hear, how do we communicate in their hands enough information in a way that's easy to understand? It's a challenge that we want to that we welcome. It's a challenge that we look forward to having a solution in the near future. Can't say when, but it's something we'd love to have.
Right, and people like the people at Helen Keller Services in New York City can help. I'm sure of that.
Okay.
Well, Paul, it's been fascinating. I think our listeners are saying, "Oh my God, how many things are coming our way." It's wonderful what technology is doing for all of us to have a more inclusive society. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Paul, it's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. And I look forward to getting down to see you in Colombia. I've only been through Colombia. I've never stopped to visit long except in Cartagena. But I'd love to see other parts of Colombia.
Oh, yeah, you have to come down to the capital of the country, Bogota, that has improved a lot.
Okay.
um,
Well, we'll work that out.
we will indeed. And for our listeners, thank you so much for listening. This is Alvaro from LVB Show. If you want to be on the show, you can email me at lowvisionbureau@gmail.com. You can look me up on Twitter at lowvisionbureau. So this is Alvaro from LVB Show saying good night.